above us. He is clear, float, sweet and low. He is clear, float, sweet and low. Follow the dance he's leading. Circle around, the fire's glow. Come drink the wine he pours from the tangled vines that grow. 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 From the green wood in his grove, neath the vexing moon above us, he is clear, float, sweet and low. He is clear, float, sweet and low. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow. Listen now and I shall follow. Listen now and I may follow.
So, good morning. Oh, do we have a sound here, Houston?
I hope we do. Good evening, everybody,
Oh,
from
yes.
the opposite side of the world.
The other side of the pond.
Yeah.
So that was a song in honor of The Horned One by Faun, a fairly popular pagan-themed band in Europe. Makes me think of the old times of the pagan conferences and conventions that we succeeded in Czechia, because I've known here Koreema for a long ass time, perhaps longer than any other practitioner, than any other one of my guests. I have a new set of graphics, a little witchy, a little sinister. It was actually inspired by the art that Koreema makes, which is a great, great homage to witchcraft.
Okay, I have a little bit wavy connection. But thank you for introducing us and the Faun band, actually, because we know each other from Czechia, from Czech Republic. But I suppose that Faun is from Germany, where I currently live.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it was a good choice.
It's a German band, and they have a heavy accent. Actually, you can hear it that they're not English native speakers.
Yeah. Well, my accent might come as well from Czech, from Ireland, from Germany. And
Well,
I was speaking German today the whole day, so I hope that I will not mix mix up these two languages.
we are the
today. We shall see.
vampires. You know, they used Czech actors in the vampire movies because they thought that our accent just sounds very sinister and very Transylvanian.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, they can hear us loud and clear, so I just
Very
hope
good.
that you can figure out.
Yeah. It seems stabilized now on my side as well. It was a bit wavy, but hopefully it will all work well.
So, natural witchcraft is pretty much your path and has been for a while. I know that, like, you know, the words themselves, they are pretty self-explanatory, but how would you describe your path? Like, what is it for you, being a hedge witch, walking
Being
the
a hedge
path
witch,
of natural witchcraft?
doing like a natural witchcraft. I would say that lately I call my witchcraft rather liminal. So it is still kind of on the hedge. It's still kind of between the spaces, between two worlds, between more worlds, and connected to the nature that we have here on the planet that we normally explore and experience, but also it's kind of astral plane mirroring and other worlds that are partly merging to it and so on.
So you walk on the edge, on the outskirts of not just the human civilization, but also the astral realms. Liminal.
Yeah, I'm working
witchcraft.
kind of in between those places. I'm researching now, let's say, for my writings and so on, what could be these borders between the worlds, what could they be in different mythologies, let's say, or in Kabbalah and so on. So
I think borders are super, super magical in every way, because, you know, the crossroads.
Yeah, unfortunately, my connection is still
It's lagging.
It's lagging.
It looks bad on my end this time. I don't know what's wrong. But so I'll try to restart.
Okay, let's wait for a second. I guess there's some restart, maybe.
Well, how are we? The signal looks better, at least on my end here.
Yeah, it's still a bit lagging, and now I can hear myself as well a little bit, but all good. Damn. We will figure out what we can figure out today.
Well, it's overseas, you know, even with all the miracles of technology, we are still trying to command The elements.
Yeah, and cross the spaces, the liminality of air and water.
Oh, not just that, but literally across time and space,
Mhm.
because you are, what, 9 hours ahead of me in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's already
Yeah, we shall
afternoon
see.
in Europe.
Yeah, there's the message popping up that it's standby, restoring the connection. I hope it will work. It would be great if we would be just guessing what the other one said and then watch the stream. Then watch the stream and see.
Well,
if
I
we
can
match.
hear you and you can't hear me, which is so bad.
Maybe the chat could tell us who is actually lagging if I should try to do something
No,
as well.
I think they can hear us. It's just you can't hear me. It's so random. It's so
And you can
random.
hear me, yeah?
I do. I do.
Well, now I don't know because I can't hear you. There are some people from Czech Republic as well writing us in Czech, so thank you. Hello, everybody. Today we will talk in English. But thanks for coming, and hope you will understand us at least a little bit.
Okay, well, since she can't hear me, I'll have to type. I guess.
Now I heard you.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, we don't need to use sign language. So this is your newest creation, the Femme Occult grimoire or magazine.
This what you have there, the picture, it's from the book. The books are here next to me. Then when later on comes the camera on again. Yeah, and they are a collection of the quarterly magazines that I'm writing together with a team of other authors and creators.
Let me tell you, this thing is very magical. Not only it's super artful and like beautifully illustrated, collectible, like a truly collector's item, but the whole coven team of witches that is putting this together, they have all assumed magical names specifically for this project. Is it right?
Yes. We were deciding on the beginning project what will we use as a structure, let's say, and we were talking about elements and other things that were basically limited in some kind of number. So in the end, I had the idea to use nicknames or pen names as different plants, and that way we could grow a garden of plants, and there could be as many plants as we want to let grow there. And that way we came with this idea that everyone will pick a plant name, and every single chapter will be signed by a symbol of that plant and not by the name of the author.
So you have literally become the plant medicine.
Yeah.
You're growing a
yes.
garden. I mean, that's beautiful and super magical.
Yeah, I'm feeling it as really the garden through which we can all walk and watch the blooms of each of the flowers and the fruit of their growth, and where we can develop and grow next to each other. Yeah, so in the astral plane, I'm sometimes roaming there as well, to this garden specifically, for inspiration and connection to others that are growing.
It looks super beautiful and super primal, these symbols, these sigils. Is this like an oral tradition, or is it channeled, original?
The symbols for the plants are made by our designer. So I don't know how actually channeling them or coming up with them, but the one that is there for my pen name, I draw it and she just changed it into the vector graphic or some magic of this kind. So it works.
So a lot of original creation goes into it. John says, I'm in Illinois and we yesterday had a hellish storm, heavy rain. I swear, continuous thunder for like 18 hours. Did we piss off someone? One of the thunder gods, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
See, the thunder gods were always said to be. The thunder gods were said to be, the fathers of all gods: Perun, Zeus, Jupiter, Thor. Or in later traditions, it would be Saint Michael Archangel, or like the prophet Elijah, who came in a thundering carriage from the sky. So that was probably one of them trying to make contact with you. I mean, any people that you noticed. I mean, he made himself very visible to you, John. So I would ask myself, like, why? What is happening in your life? Did you pray for some questions to be answered? Did you ask for protection?
Yeah, or you can create a thunder amulet based on our books. Just by the way, but what I wanted to say, on the first place, like I think that thunder gods are actually fertilizing the earth goddess, the soil. So when there is a heavy storm, for me it's usually something like a natural hieros gamos, natural connection of those elemental, let's say, spirits and gods. And in this way the soil can produce. So yeah, it can tell a lot to humans as well, for sure, but maybe the earth was just calling for it.
Yeah, oh my god, that gave me chills when you said that. Sounded a bit steamy in a way, like she was asking for it, Goddess Earth. She was like horny, I guess. She needed
thirsty.
She needed some thunderstorm action from, these gods are very, very masculine.
Yeah, sometimes it gets too rough. Sorry, the connection again is not perfect on my side. I apologize for that.
What is a kahina or kachina? That would be some ritual object, a ritual symbol, I bet, but I'm not familiar with that tradition.
That's something I don't know, even though I love symbols and I work with symbols a lot, my whole practice.
I mean, the Native Americans, they worked with a lot of natural spirits, what we would consider like embodiments of elements. Oh, Timothy says it's like a doll. It's a magical doll. Spirits can definitely be bound into dolls. It's a very ancient practice that you can find, I believe, in every culture on Earth. And these dolls, they can be approached in multiple ways. When you think of like the horror movie style voodoo doll, that would be a representation of a person, of the target, of the spell. So it's a sympathetic link, what they call a fetish or vault. It could be connected to them via their blood, nail clippings, hair, or actually commonly nowadays we will use pictures. Like, we will literally staple photographs of the person on the doll. It looks kind of funny, but it works. It works because they're not gonna sew in their hair, and that's just old school. So this commonly used doll would represent a person, and they can be used for both good and bad. It depends on how you treat the doll. And basically, you can recreate the entire life of the person with the doll. Like, you can give it a house, and then you will, put the two people together, and you will surround them by protection and lucky spirits. Or you will separate them, you will order them to go away. You can stuff them with healing herbs. Dolls are actually pretty supreme for healing and anything to do with the body. That's where I found them most useful. And then, of course, all kinds of manipulative magic, including baneful magic even. Like, I have seen dolls which were stuffed with nails and absinthium, herbs that are used for cursing and summoning dark powers. So I have seen those as well, but you would treat those dolls very differently. Like, you wouldn't want to have them in your bedroom. You may not even want to have them in your house. Like, I know a witch who has made a lot of these baneful dolls, and she has them at somebody's garage, like somewhere, far away. Stuff.
Well, so she doesn't have busy chat all the time with them energetically around.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, if you create objects, then you are always responsible for taking care of those objects. There is power in it, but like for me in my life situation, this would be very impractical because I keep moving around. If you have a temple, then you can totally take full advantage of having that temple where you can store all these sacred objects. Silver Rain is asking,
I would just add on the dolls before we will move on, if it's okay. Yeah, in my practice we are using it also as a token that represents yourself or some part of yourself. So you can shadow work with it very well. You can talk to it and talk to your inner self through the doll which you create. Or you can also get rid of or symbolically get rid of some of your habits or things that are not useful to you anymore by creating a doll that is connected to you by a tie or by some kind of rope or so. And then you just cut the cord or cut the connection between you, and you symbolically then put this part of yourself or of your life away. And then of course comes the responsibility that you have to take real actions to support this and count with that you are losing this part. So that is another use of the dolls, or they can be of course used as the gods. And
oh yeah, they can represent gods. So I believe this answers the question by Silver Rain. You can totally use the doll for inner child healing, working with any aspect of you with the puppet, and you can nurture it for self-love. Well, you can do anything with it really, if you get creative. Like, I would usually have mine for healing, like for beauty, glamour, keeping youthful appearance. That's what we would always put there, like to begin with, a sigil of the great goddess of the earth element. And then also useful for like surrounding people with prosperity, symbols of prosperity, for blessing a marriage, a household, a family. Some people get very elaborate, like they create houses for the dolls where they like surround them with objects. And thunder gods are active, even right now, in other places. Kelly Maddox, never heard of her.
I did. Yeah, Kelly Maddox is a quite skilled tarot reader and shadow worker. She does a Self-Love September project every year. It's quite cool. Yeah. If it is the same one, but it is
Sure,
written.
no, I think so, because Krista has also made a doll for self-healing and filled it with herbs of protection and healing when she was in therapy. See, that's a good idea. I'm in therapy too, and it can get very intense when you're breaking apart those like old parts of yourself, old conditioning. So I think that's a good idea to have a piece of magic supporting you throughout that process, like it, because it helps to integrate faster. That's an excellent idea, actually.
Plugging. I didn't hear the last bit, but I think that this kind of symbolical magic can support healing and therapy, indeed. Of course, it has to go hand in hand with other actions, but yeah, it can to some extent.
So Krista filled her healing doll with salt, rosemary, rose petals, and oils.
Mm-hmm.
And she put a petition inside as well, like a little scroll that will tell the magical doll what is it supposed to do. In this sense, the dolls can be considered like little servitor spirits, magical servants.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, there's a long one.
Improvising is a trait of a witch who knows her art. And it's funny that you miswrote it as improving, because I think both statements are true. Improving and improvising is definitely the trait of a witch who knows her art.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is an art, there is space in witchcraft for improvisation, and there is space for repetition of the tradition and the technique. Carla says, years ago I suffered from depression. I made dolls for my Day of the Dead altar. That's Halloween. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you make a paper flower, I put in an intent of a person who had passed. Interesting. I never heard of paper flowers, but I think flowers of any kind make a great
offering.
And like altars, especially ancestral altars, are very traditional practice all across the world. Some people have them set up permanently all year long, not just for Halloween.
Yeah, I do as well, but I'm not fond of using real flowers, like cutting them or buying them for my altar. So paper flowers are actually quite a good idea. I never thought of that option.
That's interesting, come to think of it, because I totally understand why you wouldn't want to like kill living herbs, flowers, just like for the purpose of having them die on the altar. Let's call it what it is. Like, it's a sacrifice. It's not the same like throwing an animal there or a human, but some people still don't feel good about this.
Yeah, because flowers and plants don't scream when you cut them.
They don't,
Or
right?
not in the way that we would hear it. Most of us, of course,
But they
there are plenty
react.
with
I think they do
can-
react.
Yep.
You can do this also in shamanic work, journeying to the part of your soul that needs healing, says Krista. With me, the spirit showed me a garden that represented me, and I had to tend to this garden. So the flowers that she put on the altar actually represented her inner life, or even parts of her body. That's
that's a beautiful metaphor of the garden, or the garden as a symbol of the soul or of the body on the astral plane.
What is your take on high magic and low magic?
Mine. Well, I would like to say that I don't divide them, but it is not really true. I think that everyone can practice what suits them, and that the low magic is not lower than the high magic. It's in many ways simpler, useful for everyday practice and everyday results in comparison to high ceremonial magic, where you need a lot of tools, concentration, specific steps, and so on. But in Fem-Occult, we are working with both, or also somewhere in that liminal space between them. So I suppose they are both useful. It's like drawing and painting. You can do art with both of them.
Sure, so you see them as totally complementary.
I'd say maybe the slight difference could be that the low magic is very useful in the current life, while if you aim to live after your death, or after the death of your body, how it is at the moment, the high magic might be a better way.
That is such a fantastic thing to say, because I was just asked yesterday by Melvin of the Unexplained Possibilities channel, like, what if your entire life is a sacrifice so that your future life is better? And I'm like, actually, yes, bro. Your entire life, with, you came here with a soul plan. You came here with an intention before you were born, and you may have decided to, forego some things, forego riches and fame or whatever, do good deeds, be charitable, just, burn all the bad karma so that next time it can be better. So some lives are chosen for purification, for purging. Some lives are chosen with ambition. Some lives are just like being on a vacation, taking time off. I'm always laughing when I run into one of those people who are just like you talk to them and you realize that, like, they don't have a mission in this life. They're just hanging out. They're free agents. They can do whatever they want. And there's us who are like bound head to toe, by our soul plan or karmas and pacts. But some people are just chilling out, I swear.
Yeah. Well, if it works for them, if their soul is happy that way, and if it's not just a way of suppressing the environment in which they live, then why not? Yeah, I would personally say that I have around myself people like that, and in some ways I kind of admire them, that they are not like go 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 oriented, do something, do this, do that, still constantly driven by some inner flame or muses and artistic muses and this kind of stuff, and that they can just like I just lived through the day somehow, had good food, had good drink,
No,
and
I mean,
watched a good movie.
sure, no, there's so
not?
much to be said about different life philosophies and what drives us.
Mhm.
I have a friend who says that the point of life is basically just entertainment, like
Mhm.
having fun. Like there's nothing else to it.
Yeah, well,
There's
then try
just
everything.
people that have so much to do, like they need to achieve so much. Francis has an interesting heretical thought. What if incarnation is the highest form of ritual?
Yeah, of the liminal crossing ritual. I have to confess one thing. So the audience knows my kind of stand, but it's not really a stand at the moment. I'm still not sure if there are afterlives, before lives, incarnation, and karma. Yeah? I'm practicing for over 25 years, and I'm still not, I still didn't come to terms with this idea. So I'm doing my best in this life to enjoy it, to leave something after myself, to be here at this moment, just in case that there's nothing afterwards.
That's
But
one way
deeper and deeper I go to the mysteries that I'm reading from other authors by us, and I'm thinking of these things, and I'm meditating over these things, and I'm practicing as well magic, and looking into some spaces and times. More and more I'm starting to realize that probably there is something, and that exactly the movement from one body to another, not necessarily body, to another way of existence or type of existence, let's say, that it is indeed, from my perspective, a ritual, and probably quite a strong liminal passage ritual. And I started to have these thoughts after delivering a baby.
yes,
Because that was, yeah, because that was the first time when I started to think through this experience that this was quite, that there is some setting of the mind as well during that process, and it was somehow ritualistic. It was just different than the ceremony. Maybe the ceremonies and the magical practice in everyday life are preparing us for this highest form of ritual, as Francis wrote.
Oh my god, I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills again. Solon Sun, does high versus low magic depend on the energies you are calling? For example, low magic sigil work, you work with just your energy, whereas in high magic you will be invoking planetary energies. Or is it dependent on where one's perspective is?
I would say it's quite a lot about the perspective. The border is blurred between these two. But because from my perspective, for example, sigil work is high magic.
I mean, you can create sigils for different intentions, just as with planetary energies. I mean, you can use the energies of Mars to fuck up your enemies. You know, you have like the angel of Mars, you get the planetary intelligence of Mars, demons of Mars. It just depends what you want to use it for, or you can use it for some very astral, very speculative working of high magic. I guess it depends on the practitioner. Like a lot of people just fire sigils with masturbation and orgasm, especially more practitioners. like to the point that it's become like a joke in the community. And some people will spend a week in conjuration of planetary energies. What I would say in general is that some energies which are more earth are like more commonly used in low magic. But nothing stops you from using herbs, in like deep shamanic path working. It's just that, what Koriyama said, like, are you in it for the immediate benefit, or are you in the long game of developing as a soul? Because the immediate gain might, come at a price later. It might come and bite you back in the butt.
I have one more perspective to this, with which I'm working, let's say, for 3 years now, since I've read a book, Advanced Witchcraft by McCoy. And I think she mentions there the difference between magician and mystic. And the magician is basically calling upwards to get the results now, here in this life, while the mystic is going deep in himself or themselves or herself to open the soul and approach the higher spheres and the gods, and perhaps also afterlives. So this way, kind of, it could be also approached that the low magic, the fast results, the stuff that happens from day to day or month to month in your current life might be the way of the magician who wants to reach a lot in this life, who wants to reach the lesser philosopher's stone, the one that brings you happiness, satisfaction, success in this life. And the one who's the mystic and who does the ceremonial magic and looks forward to the afterlife and searches the ways how to actually flow into the next life or become, in a way, immortal. That is aiming for the higher philosopher's stone, I would say.
That is fantastic. Chills again. And also the perspective of a mystic and a magician, they kind of overrule one another. Let's take the question of like demonic pacts. I was recently faced with a very surprising, very big decision in my life where I chose to forgo all of my demonic pacts. I had them with Lucifer and Samael. Actually, the spirits themselves told me that they want me to let it fall apart. Lucifer said to me, "My biggest gift to you is freedom, and I feel that now you are ready for it. So I will free you from this pact by not delivering on it. So it will be voided, essentially, as a contract."
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to void a demonic pact. I have frankly not heard about anyone else. It just happened to me. More typically, you would have to negotiate with the spirits, summon them, negotiate with them, maybe give them some kind of sacrifice offering, or maybe find another practitioner who would take that same duty from you. Or you would have to summon some other spirit for them to free you from it. But all of this is operating on the level of sorcery, like these spirit politics. When you approach it from a mystical point of view, a mystic will just realize that all of this is bullshit, just a game. Mystic will just go into deep meditation and see that there's no devil, there's no deals with the devil, there's no contracts, it's all void.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Now I feel like a mystic.
No, it's
No
it's true,
offense to
and
those who are working with this.
that's why I like to, associate with people who have a different path from mine, because I totally see and respect the need for balance. Like, we can get so lost on the left-hand path, just doing the whole black magic routine, just like manifesting results and making these deals with demons, and then sometimes it leads us into a corner. And you have to ask yourself also, like, why do you work with these beings? Are you in it to gain stuff, or are you there for like self-knowledge? There's some interesting.
Yeah, and this is something indeed that I value a lot as well. That the path which I'm walking is a lot about understanding yourself and finding basically your inner will that is connected to the higher will, and finding the balance connection between them, because this way you simply approach the program or the duty of your soul, as you named it a few minutes ago. And when you find your purpose, or you feel inside that you're fulfilling your purpose, it is a very, very good feeling, or it's just worth it. And it might be a goal of the path, of the spiritual path for me.
That's the greatest thing out there, what Charles Bukowski wrote. There is no feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Contrasting that with what Francis says, I think there's too many people who think that magic is like a kebab fidelity card where the 11th meal is free.
Yeah, well, there are many ways of magic, and everyone can do whichever suits them and whichever works for them. It's totally okay. It's the same as choosing your wardrobe.
Hermit says, I'm in it for the experience. Nothing is certain until I have burned my hand on the kettle. I think actually Albert Einstein said in some interview that objective reality is what you bump into in the dark when you're going to the toilet, at night. Objective reality, the thing that you bump into, and it hurts your toes or
yeah,
your forehead. Blake has something to say about parenting. Parenting treats or perhaps heals childhood trauma, tending life to balance, tending of the dead. Sometimes the dead tend to us.
Yeah, was it a question towards me? Because I lost at the beginning.
It's just a comment, and I think
okay.
it's.
Yeah.
There is a lot to be said about ancestral veneration and like parenting yourself, reparenting yourself. And I mean, you and Blake are hardly the only people who say that the experience of having a child was like the biggest thing ever that happened to them in their life.
Yeah. Like, I suppose that all women feel it very, very similarly.
Some don't. I mean, it's not like it's that for everyone. Some people do it for their own like satisfaction or kind of out of duty, and they are happy when it's over.
Yeah. I meant the delivering the baby, that the women probably have the similar, not similar, but it is kind of a spiritual experience for all of them, even though they don't believe in any spiritual things. But yeah, definitely motherhood is not for everyone, and it is everyone's choice. Hopefully it will be again in USA soon. Just a side note.
Yeah, no,
to
we
the
can.
horrific stuff that's
There is no reason not to. I spoke about blood sacrifice and human sacrifice in my last broadcast on Monday, actually, and I totally forgot to make this note when I was speaking about it, that this overturning of the long existing precedent for legality of abortion in the United States, the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court ruling. Like, why do they decide to mess with it after 50, 60 years? I personally believe, unfortunately, that they do these kinds of things to renew the trauma in the population. Like, they know that they will create a lot of chaos with this. They know that it will stir up a lot of emotions, that it will rally the left against the right again, division in society. So I just don't think there is any good in anything that they do.
Yeah, I'd say that it is absolutely disastrous from my perspective. I was telling my husband, and he was like, how is this possible? How is this possible? When it's so invasive to the body of the woman that she's not able to decide about it anymore.
Well, Korea, the thing is, they want to invade us, our life force, and they can do it, like with the law and with the way they govern. And this just comes at such a weird moment, like out of nowhere.
Yes, yeah, indeed, it was shocking.
It's a non-issue in most of Europe, apart from the two Catholic countries, Ireland and Poland. Everywhere else,
Poland has problems with it. Ireland is safe. There are abortions allowed for last, I'd say, about 5 years, but it is allowed. But then is a question: how many doctors are willing to prescribe you the pill or do the treatment?
No,
it is a process.
In Poland and Ireland, what women do is actually they take the overnight ferry to the neighboring country or international waters. So, it's not really an issue, like in practice, because you can cross the borders very, very
easily. Yeah.
I don't know what is the agenda, but I do agree that there is nothing good behind.
Yeah. Some time ago, maybe already over a year, we had a live stream with Fema Cold, where we were talking to some of our seedlings or some of our plants from the garden, and one of them mentioned there that the patriarchy wants women to be on the pill, so they are hormonally balanced to be more like men. And in that time I was like, well, oh my goodness, that's such a conspiracy. But I have to say that I came back to this thought on one of my more
proven to be.
Fingers crossed that it all goes better again. But it is so easy to employ this horrible way, this horrible law. It is like from day to day they will just close the door in front of you. But when it comes back, when women again have the right, or people with uterus, then there will be again several years before it comes to a real practice. Yeah,
it is to create terrifying social instability and suffering, which I believe is the whole principle of human sacrifice that is still being practiced very much. It just does not look like a bunch of druids in capes. It looks like war mass shootings, terrorism,
Mm.
or this like mass psychological terrorism into people's bodies. So let's keep fingers crossed and let's keep us on our path, because the world is violent. It's a dark place, and it will keep throwing things at us. This is not a time of peace. It has never been. So we have to look
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say.
for the inner, like the inner grounding. It's not just a war against women. See, if there was one side or one victim of this spiritual war that's going on, that it would be easy to win. But it kind of keeps changing a couple of months. But it is a war, for sure. I just don't know sides of it, because the sides look different to me every year. So it looks like somebody is kind of, playing. It's the man.
Someone up there.
The curtain. You know the Wizard of Oz. It's the man behind the curtain. Culprit. And we did have a shooting on the national holiday, July the 4th.
Yeah, I've heard.
Leo Tolstoy, was he a vegetarian actually, or a pacifist? He said that as long as there is a slaughterhouse, there will be a war. It's just human nature, because we kill animals, I guess, so we will always be killing each other.
Yeah, I think it's a part of human nature and human experience. And in my perspective, it is horrible, and for some time each of us survives it for their own time and goes through this experience and tries to experience it as good or as nice as possible. From your perspective, there might be in the end some reward for the suffering.
Yes, well, thank you.
So you have hope, at least.
I get the chills. I think both perspectives have a dark side to it and a light side. And I totally get people who choose to live like without exploring the past and the future, because you can get pretty stuck in it. Like, all I see is future timelines and the past. It takes up a lot of my energy and time contemplating those. But I'm grateful for this gift, and it helps people. It helps my clients, because they see it helps them understand their subconscious motivations happening. Thank you for joining us today, Koreema. Waving hello
Thank you for inviting me.
Listening on the replay. I think we might be back closer to some later pagan holiday this year. Maybe do something for Halloween. So let me know.
Yeah, we can surely chat again. I always enjoy it with you a lot.
let me know what you are up to. I love your audience. Very, very nice people. And have a great day, Devil's Disciples. Keep it up.
And have a great night from my side.
From the greenwood in his grove, neath the vexing moon above us, here's clear float sweet and low, here's clear float sweet and low. Follow the dance he's leading, circle round the fire's glow. Come drink the wine he pours from the tangled vines that grow, from the tangled vines that grow, from the tangled vines that grow, from the tangled vines that grow. From the green wood in his grove, neath the vexing moon above us, he is clear flute sweet and low, he is clear flute sweet and low. Listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow, listen now and I shall follow, listen now and I may follow. Singing, and his shadow dances along, and I know not which I should follow, shadow or song, and I know not which I should follow, shadow or song. Catch me his strain, else moonstruck with music and madness, I track him in vain. He skips through the copses singing, and his shadow dances along, and I follow, shadow or song, and I know not which I should follow, shadow